Phillip has been out in the game for about 10 months now. And when he came into the game, we said that this guy is gonna be extremely important for your murder ball, extremely important for your field marches, and he's gonna transcend. He's gonna last a long time. Well, we gotta talk about it because we have a new combo commander coming out for Cavalry coming up in a couple of months, and we gotta talk about what the future is for Phillip. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I put out videos all the time and almost daily content. And the streams and the different things that we do, we love doing for the community. If you are not subscribed, consider doing so. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get alerts when we put out this kind of content, hit the bell and make sure you get that. And in addition, if you enjoy the video, please throw a thumbs up on it. Really helps out the channel and really helps out what we're doing. This is Phillip, y'all. I have a Phillip guide. I've talked about Phillip. I've done reviews on KVKs where I talk about how good he is, how you can use him. He's the most versatile commander in the game. The absolute most versatile commander in the game because they gave us a leadership commander that does not have to have multiple troop types. In fact, he's better when he only has one troop type because he's a commander that will do damage. A buffing commander. Now, I don't even label him a buffing commander, but he's a great field commander that does buffing, okay? He's got one of the best buffs in the game. He's able to fire this thing off on multiple occasions when it comes to his expertise, where he does a second proc on his active skill. Active skill is absolutely wonderful. And you can put him with cav commanders, you can put him with infantry commanders, you can put him with archer commanders. And the most common thing we see with Phillip, partly because he has one of the best instant procs in the game. An instant proc is basically when you have a chance to fire off like an instant proc, like a fire off damage to the enemy. And he does it to 3 targets. And he does it with also a rage reduction. He reduces their rage by 100 in that second that he fires off. Well, you put him with Arthur, who's a combo commander, and it's like one of the most powerful marches you can run. It's one of the most common marches you can run. A lot of people love to use Arthur with Phillip. But if Arthur gets, and we're going to project a little bit, or we're going to forecast, if Arthur's going to get a combo commander that he desperately needs in the field, the next cav generation of commanders should be out in about 6 to 8 weeks. And with that, we already started talking about what to do with Phillip. Like, how do we work this with Phillip? If we're all running him with Arthur, what are the options? And I'm going to explain to you why Phillip is going to be a guy that you use to bench older commanders. Okay? And so a lot of people run Phillip behind Zuge for archers. All right? A lot of people run Phillip behind Luce. A lot of people run him behind Ragnar. It's not as common, but I'm going to show you that you're going to get an opportunity to be able to replace Scipio, Hermann, Alex, some of these commanders that are old and have been great, but he's just better. Okay, the first thing we'll talk about is archers. Zuge has so much potential in the game to continue to do what he does, because a lot of people are going back to a 2-archer lineup with Chen and being able to use YSG with Chen, and then it allows people to run Zuge with Hermann. All right, but a lot of people like to run Zuge with Phillip. I have samples of a year's worth of fighting since Phillip came out on both my accounts, and the numbers are staggering. It is a massive sample, so it really can't be like oh, hey, this was just a past 7 fighting an inferior opponent, or hey, this was just in Kingsland fighting a tough opponent. It's all of it for like the last year, and these are my results when it came to Zuge. Okay, when you see this, Zuge with Phillip, for me, does about, on the power ratio and the kill points ratio, does about 18 to 20% better than my Zuge with Hermann. Now, you got to remember, this is back before Chen came in the game. I had a whole bunch of these samples, but Zuge with Phillip just does better for me, and I'm telling you, it does better for everybody else. Part of the reason why is the health that Phillip gives. Phillip has a really kind of weird situation when it comes to his second skill, because if you put him with archers, he has 35% health. So that is really, really good in the field. Plus, Phillip has a 20% march speed bonus. He is really fast, and it helps keep Zuge out of trouble. And so with that being said, you have so much more tankiness, so much better trades when it comes to the Zuge Phillip and the Zuge Hermann. Okay. And so if you don't have anywhere to put Phillip and you're running Zuge Hermann, put him behind Hermann. It's 100% going to be better for all of your marches. We all know this. With Phillip's buffing, he even if he can trade even with the alternative, even if he can trade even with that, basically, even if he can have the same results as a Zuge Hermann, Phillip is naturally going to be better for your whole murder ball. So that is one way to look at it. You want to actually put Phillip behind Zuge and put Hermann on the bench. All right. And so that's on the archer side of things. Let's go to the other side of things that we have. Infantry. A lot of people still run Luce Alex. I still love it. I still run it. It's amazing. But if you look here, Luce Phillip trades based on the power ratio about the same. You're like 2%, 3% off. The kill points ratio about the same. You're about 2 or 3% off. This is on my main and my second account. So many tours I ran this. So many samples that I have for this. And Luce Phillip trades just as well as Luce Alex. Phillip is so much better. He's just better. And so you might look at this and say, oh, well, I like Alex for the march speed. Well, Phillip has the march speed. Might not be 30%, but it's 20%. It's really good. And you might say, well, Alex has the instant proc. Well, Phillip has the best instant proc in the game. And then Alex has a great active skill where he does damage to 3 enemy targets and that take more damage. However, Phillip's active skill is just better. Plus he procs that more. He's just a better commander. And so from that standpoint, the Luce Phillip, if it trades even with Luce Alex, you're running Phillip 100%. It is, you're not even debating it. And so that is a sample of what you can do if you want to run Phillip with infantry. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one we're going to talk about is Ragnar. Oh my gosh, this is probably going to be the most common thing. Guys, listen, I love Scipio, and I love Scipio's health debuff that he does. I like what he does with his active skill, obviously. The damage factor is kind of meh. 2,000 to 3 targets. That's Joan. That's Guan levels. It's not amazing in this day and age in 2025. But the health debuff that he does for 3 seconds on those targets is really, really good. And it has been good for a long time. That's why he's been relevant. However, it's not even close. It's not even close. For whatever reason, Ragnar Phillip works exceptionally well. Okay, gives Ragnar more defense, very tanky, gives Ragnar the march speed that he needs, march speed that he has to have. Okay, when you look at the triggered march speed, you have a chance to have march speed with Scipio, but we all know that this is a slow march, and Phillip actually makes Ragnar a little bit faster without this trigger bonus from Scipio. And so Ragnar Phillip, guys, this isn't even close. It's like 50 to 60% better when it comes to your power trades and your kill point trades. Okay, and a lot of people are getting frustrated with a Ragnar Scipio march. This does not perform. I run the heck out of it. I've always kind of liked it. But if I take the sample of the entire year, Ragnar Phillip's just better. Just hands down better. So now you have the Zuge Phillip combination. We talked about the Luce Phillip combination. The Ragnar Phillip is probably going to be the most popular. Everybody just bench Scipio, put Phillip with Ragnar. Okay? And then you have some other combinations you can look at. Like some of us who run Attila and some of us who have Attila with some arch formations. Okay? Now I've got probably one of the best in the game. It's kind of crazy what I've got. But if you've got a couple of special inscriptions, and we're getting to the point in the game now where accounts are getting old enough to where people are racking up special inscriptions left and right. And it is not bad to be able to have Fearless. It is really, really good to get straight to the point. These are 2 hard ones. The beauty with Arch formation is that you do not need Destructive. You do not need the special inscription for the scroll slot up here. So with that, you've got a couple. If you can just get 1 or 2 of these things and have good stats and stuff, you can use Attila in the field. We talked about this. I did a video about 7-8 months ago about how Attila Phillip is amazing in the field, and so many players run that. And really a lot of cat players run it. And they can't believe how well it does. Okay? So with that being said, let's go to what this thing does. Let me just pull this over here. Attila with Luce, okay? It's my favorite march. I am going to run this thing in this pass 7 and Kingsland against 2377. I bet, now I've got crazy armaments, but I also have crazy armaments for my Chin. But I bet Attila Luce of mine will outperform Chin. I bet it does. As good as Chin is. That's how good artifact KVKs are when it comes to Attila and Smite commanders. You can see my Attila Luce is out of control. It is out of control how good this is. Traits 2-1 every time, no matter what, all the time, everywhere. I ran an artifact KVK in the Tides last KVK. I put CJ with Attila, and it still did amazing. Like CJ with the artifact, put him behind Attila, run my arch stuff, and it wrecks. But then look down here at my Attila Phillip. This is what I love to run in the field because I'll put Arthur with William. All right, so Attila with Phillip, for me, always trades exceptionally well. 132%. That is great. That is great for the field. It also does a ton of Sev wounds. Like, you want kill points? Like, for whatever reason, Attila Phillip does a ton of kill points. It does a ton. Like, it'll go trade 130%. And that might not be as good of a trade as a BQ or a Zuge Hermann or something like that, or sometimes even your Chin, you know. But when it comes to the kill points you do per second, the Attila Phillip, for whatever reason, is really, really good. So you have some options when it comes to Phillip. This is going to be life after Arthur Phillip. That's what we're looking at. What's this going to look like when we get another Cav combo commander to put behind Arthur to run a pure combo march in the field? It's probably going to be crazy. Well, what do we do with Phillip? Like, what do we do with him? Well, we talked about this. You run Phillip, bench Hermann. It's going to be better. You run Phillip, bench Alex. It's going to be better. You run Phillip, you bench Scipio. It's going to be a lot better. So you have all these different avenues and different ways to do this. Now, I did have one more thing on here where I compared my Ragnar Phillip to my Luce Phillip. My Ragnar Phillip's just wild, y'all. It's just crazy. And the other thing I wanted to show here, as we've got the Attila stuff, is this. I ran Phillip primary. I have crazy good leadership stuff, okay? Let me kind of show you a little bit. I run Phillip primary, and I have this kind of leadership stuff. Like, this is tiered up leadership stuff with infantry. So I get stuck having to run it with infantry. For whatever reason, Phillip primary, conventional wisdom would tell you that Phillip primary is really, really good. And it's probably, he needs to be a primary commander because he gives a 2-second damage bonus, okay, of 40% for your own march. He gives a 2-second damage bonus for a big hitter to hit behind him. But when you're in murder ball fighting and you're fighting back and forth, you don't want Phillip as a primary, okay? Because you're gonna reset your rage so many times that Luce never fires or Ragnar never quite fires. I could not get this to work well. You saw my gear. It's incredible. I'll run it with Pincer. I'll run it with Arch. I'll run it with a crazy wedge set, and I can't get it to work. So I tell players now, and what that basically means is that this gear that I have for myself, this gear I've got on Trajan is like worthless. Like, I can't even use it in the field because Phillip does not need to be primary. The only way I've seen Phillip work as a primary commander is when he's running with Luce or with Zuge behind him with archers. That's the only way I've seen it work. And so from that standpoint, I highly advise players do not run Phillip primary with Luce or Ragnar. It's okay, but you always want to make sure you put Luce and Ragnar primary because they're going to fire off their big AoE active skills much, much faster, more frequent, and Phillip will help enhance that behind them with the double procs and things that he does. So that's just a caveat to all this. I always like running Phillip more behind commanders, okay? He's going to be better than Hermann. He's better than Alex. Now, it trades about even, but we all know that the buffing you got to have. He's going to be better than Scipio by a long shot. Let's finally bench Scipio, okay? He's going to be better than in this situation, he's going to be better than some of the other stuff that you have. And so that's what we project with Phillip. Okay, Phillip's going to be around for a while. He's not going anywhere. And just to let everybody know, it's what we talked about at the very beginning. He's way too versatile. He does way too many things. He's been in the game for now 10 months, nearly a year. And when the new Cav combo comes out, Phillip is going to be moved somewhere else. And I just gave you the blueprint on where to put him. Don't be afraid to bench Hermann. Don't be afraid to bench Scipio. Don't be afraid to bench Alex. Phillip will give you great results. And if you enjoyed this video, throw a thumbs up on here. Get down in the comments. I'd love to interact with everybody down there. If you haven't joined the Discord, consider joining it by clicking the link in the description. That's where a lot of these conversations come into play. This is the future of Phillip, and we're trying to figure out what's going to work best. And so I gave you all the samples of how this worked out. And with all that, hope you have a great day, broskies.